Who can make a sunrise, scatter it in blood?
Shh. Spoilers ahead.
Hi everybody and welcome to Cinemattraction. I'm Hit Guy Jay and with me is Cold to the Bone,
Roger Pedacta.
from Ace Ventura. Hello,
Ventura.
Thank you for joining us.
You're welcome.
Can I ask you a question, Roger?
Certainly.
Why are you dressed like Stalin?
Blue is my colour. This is just a big ruse from you because to detract from the fact that you're wearing a fur coat.
It is.
I had a client, that reminds me of a thing. None of our listeners would want to hear this story.
But they're going to hear it.
There was this client that we had, and he used to run. He used to be part of this quite big upholsterer company.
Right.
And he came in because he went on his own and he wanted a website. Spoiler: I make websites as part of my day job. We're going through it, and he was going through all like the different materials and stuff like that he uses, and he was like, "Oh, you know, we use this, we use that, we use these type of brands." And we're going through them, and he said, you know, put in next will be fox leather, and I'm like, wow, that sounds monstrous.
Oh, fox leather.
Faux leather.
Oh, he said it fox.
He said it was fox.
Oh, faux leather. Oh.
What have you been watching?
I have been watching a show on Netflix called Beef.
Yes.
Me and my wife have been binge watching it. It has him from The Walking Dead who had the eye popped out.
Okay.
Sorry, it's Steven something.
Steven Yeun.
I'm not going to say his name badly. If
Might
I don't.
say.
Oh yes, it does. He's on the.
So next week we're going to be reviewing.
We're sitting in front of a copy of Nope, aren't we?
Yeah. So we're going to be doing two films from Jordan Peele next week.
We are
doing Get Out and Nope, and Steven Yeun is literally
sort of
staring back at you at the moment.
I watched a TV series with him in, and it was a chance sort of accident between two people having a car accident, and things just escalate from there. Like the worst part of themselves just come out.
Manifest.
Yeah, just manifest, and it just gets more and more weird as it goes on.
Is it? Is it a Korean?
No,
No,
it's an American show.
He does do Korean films.
Yeah, no, this is a proper American show.
Okay.
I mean, it's just that the fact that the people in it are there are some Korean and some Japanese and
just Asian actors.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
just Asian actors. Fine. But it's an American TV show. But
is it good?
Yeah, it's quite good. Yeah, it's got a very high score on Letterboxd.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean anything.
No, and I rewatched Hellraiser 2022, which
yes, looking forward
I
to
really
seeing
like that
myself.
film. I've watched it 3 times now, so I guess I could say I enjoy it.
You very, very kindly lent me the Blu-ray of that.
The dodgy.
Indeed. I watched RoboCop 1 and 2.
You did.
We should do an episode on that one day.
We should. RoboCop 2 though I find such a struggle.
Awful.
It's a struggle.
Yes.
I get really excited about watching it. I watch RoboCop and then I think, right, I'm going to watch RoboCop 2 because it's probably not as bad as I remember, like from a few years ago. And then I put it on and I'm like, yeah, it is. It's terrible.
I was anticipating watching the third one as well, but after watching the second one, I'm like, no.
Because the third one's got like some like sort of Japanese kung fu like samurai robots in it or something.
Something
They're not
like that,
they're not really samurai. They're kind of like, they look like just Japanese men, but they've got like samurai swords and they're robots, I think.
Right.
To take, as far as I can remember, I've only seen RoboCop 3 once.
I think I've seen it. Well, I've seen it a few times, but I've never enjoyed it after I've watched it.
Well, no, because it hasn't got Pia Weller in it.
So we both play emulated games.
We do.
And the reason for watching RoboCop was that I recommend it to you because I know that you've got the same device as I do. The RoboCop games on the NES are absolutely stellar.
They are, aren't they?
Superb. And they completely
There's so
inspired
many
me
games
to
on there that
watch,
I haven't got around to playing all of
these
them.
two movies. Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory is a 1971 fantasy film directed by Mel Stewart, adapted from the 1964 novel Charlie and the Chocolate Factory by Roald Dahl. A critical and commercial success upon its release, the film would stand the test of time and earn an Oscar nomination for Best Original Score.
I agree with that.
Yeah, man. Gene Wilder would be nominated for the Best Actor Golden Globe. Notably disowned by Roald Dahl for the various deviations from his novels, such as the shifting of focus from Charlie onto Wonka.
Okay.
Somewhat.
Okay.
This film will be added to the United States National Film Registry by the Library of Congress for its significance.
Oh, cool.
This is a real deal film.
Yeah.
Young Charlie Bucket is a poor boy from a poor family whose life is spared from this monstrosity when he happens to find a golden ticket inside of a Wonka chocolate bar. This grants him and previously bedridden chaperone, Grandpa Joe, the opportunity to tour the wonderful Wonka chocolate factory, receive a lifetime supply of Wonka confectionery, and meet its eccentric and reclusive owner, Willy Wonka. The factory, having closed its doors some time ago to outsiders when enduring a spell of corporate espionage. Wonka has personally slipped 5 golden tickets into the wrapping of 5 chocolate bars. The winners include German gourmand Augustus Gloop, the detestably spoiled daughter of a wealthy English industrialist, Veruca Salt, that's hard to say, obnoxious American girl Violet Beauregard, and television-obsessed twerp Mike TV. The group enter the wonderful factory, sampling a range of Turkish delights. I'll come back later.
I think that's a different film, isn't it?
Encountering a race of singing assistants. Revelations are revealed as each contestant reveals their true colours, as does Wonka himself, who has a wider plan to weed out an overall winner. What do you think of Charlie or Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory?
Well, first I need to say the Candyman can, and I need to say word up to my Oompa Loompas out there.
I know they're listening.
They are definitely listening.
Big
My
fans
boys are
of the
listening.
show.
One of them is very... If you've noticed, when you look at the Oompa Loompas, one of them is very aged.
Oh, really?
One of them looks like he's like perhaps getting on for about 60 odd.
He's close to his retirement.
He definitely is. One of them is very old, one of the Oompa Loompas.
Dear.
What can I say about this film? For me, it's got a few issues. Not within the film enjoyment.
Right,
saying.
yeah, I think I know where you're
issues in the film that I...
Yeah, sure.
Obviously, I grew up watching this film.
Absolutely.
I love this film.
Yep.
I've got issues with the sinister tinker.
When did you first see the film? Do you recall?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I just...
It
was just on telly once.
Yeah.
Just grew up like it being on over Christmases and things like that,
Yeah.
just being broadcast on regular telly. Before I forget, I just need to say that Prince did something like this years ago.
What?
Prince did something like this. The artist Prince.
The legislative
iconic Prince.
Okay.
Before his death
Not
years
William
ago.
or Harry.
In about... I want to say about 2004, he released a record and he put 5 purple tickets in it.
Oh!
And if you got it, you got to go to Paisley Park and he would perform live for you on his stage he had at Paisley Park.
Whoa.
Can you imagine that?
That would be insane.
3121, it was the album. 3121.
Okay.
That came with a fragrance as well. Prince made a fragrance for that.
Did. What was the one that they put onto the front of a newspaper?
Oh, that was...
Because they put one on the front of a newspaper.
They did. It was his... they did 2.
You buy the newspaper and it comes with it for some reason.
2010
Right.
was one on the newspaper and the other one was Planet Earth. Yeah.
How strange.
They were full-length albums as well.
How strange.
They weren't his best albums, but there was a few decent
they're not going to be his
tunes.
best, are they?
No,
They're giving away with the
no,
paper.
but there was a few decent tunes on it. Okay. Anyway, back to the film. Obviously, the sinister tinker.
The sinister
with
tinker.
the meat cleavers hanging from his little cart. How scary was he?
Yes.
Poor Charlie Bucket would have gone home.
Yeah.
And he would have messed himself and had to go home and like clean himself up because he would have been like, "Oh, Mom, what do you think of the world of this film?" Because it's kind of England, but it's not, is it? There's a lot of Americans.
It's set in like a Central European town, like a
Kind
German
of,
town
isn't
or
it?
something.
Yeah,
it kind of has that weird.
Because Willy Wonka's factory has a Germanic look, doesn't it?
I don't want to say. I don't know where it was shot. It might have been shot in Germany.
Because I did love the look of his factory, the Germanic look.
Yeah, well, I'm sure you did. But the architecture around it as well.
Yeah.
As you say, like some people have got like American accents. Some people have got British accents.
Exactly. You know,
Very
Charlie's
strange.
American.
Yeah. There was a sort of weird magic to the place, though. Like, it made me think of that look where everybody's kind of speaking in their own accent. Kind of made me think of like Grand Budapest Hotel.
Kind of, yeah. Because there is some sort of very foreign accents in it as well. Because I want to give word up to Werner Haking, baby, my man.
I know he's listening. He's a big fan of the show.
He's not listening. He's dead.
Oh.
But Werner Haking, he's not my MVP, but he does. I do believe he does. Does he usher Charlie out of the shop? He ushers him out and says, "Come on, Charlie, run home." When he finds the ticket.
Yeah.
Cabbage water. What are our views on cabbage water?
I'd give anything a try.
Would you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like cabbage.
Yeah, right.
And I like water.
Okay, cabbage water. We just need to think about the farts, don't we?
You'd have to watch out for the
farts.
The farts.
Mm.
We have a fart machine, people. It's very creative. It's very colourful.
Yes.
I like the strange rooms within the factory as well, and the strange use of perspective.
But you like to notice. You're very sharp at noticing details.
Certainly.
The uncomfortable bedding arrangement for Charlie's grandparents.
I have. Yeah, actually, it's a bit weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
Especially with the old...
And they're doing sort of, what is it, top and tail, they
tops
call
and
it, don't
tails,
they?
but also you've got to worry, really considerably worry. If they're all eating cabbage, as you say...
And they're all bedbound.
There's a lot of Dutch ovens.
Yeah. And Grandpa Joe's wife, Grandpa Georgina,
Yeah.
she's got like a sort of a very foreign accent, considering the rest of them are...
I don't have a problem with that, though, to be honest.
I just think it's out of place.
Right.
Charlie's mum has got an American accent.
Yeah.
What happened to the father? Do we need to... Oh, I don't know. Am I delving too deep now?
No, by all means.
Okay,
carry
what
on.
actually happened?
There
where
is a father in the Tim Burton one, though, isn't there?
There is, I think, yeah.
Weird. No,
Yes, there is a father in the Tim Burton one,
Yeah.
you're right. But in this one there isn't. There's there's just a mum
Yeah.
and two grandparents. So are we presuming that father died and left his two bedbound
Just dumped
parents for his
bedbound
his
parents.
wife to take care of?
Where did Grandpa Joe get that bar of chocolate from?
I know. And when
Did he steal
when
it?
Charlie gives him money for tobacco,
Did
right?
he steal it?
I reckon he probably
Where's
did.
he getting his money from?
When Charlie gives him Grandpa Joe the money for the tobacco,
Sure.
he gives Grandpa Joe's bedbound.
Right,
What's he going to do with
What's
it?
he going to do with it?
What's he going to do with it? Oh, I just tuck this money down here beside the pillow because I can't get out of bed.
Well, no. Is he one of those sort of benefit sponges?
I think he is because I'll tell you
Because he's
something.
clearly
He obviously
disabled,
was
but
getting
he's
out-
not disabled, is he?
No, he was getting out
He's
of bed.
still collecting, isn't he?
Yeah, he was getting out of bed.
He's
Yeah.
probably running a
We'll
plumbing
get-
company somewhere as well, isn't
Yeah.
he? Or collecting.
I think the government need to get... Well, it's a bit late now, isn't it?
They should
But-
put, well, that's a bit late now, I suppose.
Yeah. But if you think about it, like, he obviously has been getting out of bed, dancing in the middle of the night when nobody's looking. He's been going out and getting his tobacco. He went out and got stole that
What else is he doing?
bar of candy.
What else? But he can't walk.
He
can't get out of
can't
bed,
walk,
but
but
then
apparently he
suddenly-
can.
Ronnie, you Grandpa Joe! Parenthood and family is a key theme, I think. The parents or chaperones are generally awful people.
Yeah.
Generally awful people.
Yeah, especially Grandpa Joe. He's terrible. He's getting Charlie in trouble and everything.
He encourages Charlie to steal bread as well,
Yeah.
doesn't he? So he's a bit
He
of a
encourages
boy,
Charlie to do the fizzy lifting drinks
which
and
is
everything.
one of my favourite scenes.
I love that scene.
What I love about that scene is the fact that it's one of my favourite scenes, not only because even now I find burping really funny,
Burping is hilarious.
but they kind of burp their way out of trouble.
and Charlie-
But also, like, there's a great big fan that's going to decapitate them.
You know Charlie when he starts screaming, he goes, Grandma, it's gonna go. It's gonna... I burst out laughing when
It's
that
hilarious.
happens. It's
Love
hilarious, and the look of absolute elation on Charlie's face as he burps his way to the bottom.
They burp their way out of trouble.
He's...
But there's this beautiful, like, ceiling fan thing that's just literally about to decapitate them. They're gleefully burping their way. I think that's brilliant.
It is.
Veruca's dad has completely spoiled Veruca.
I was going to
lost
mention that.
control
Roy
of her.
Kinnear, I think Roy Kinnear is fantastic in this. I absolutely love his downtrodden,
Yeah.
defeated.
He was quite a popular staple in, like, the 80s on
He
kids'
was,
TV
yeah.
and like.
But he's
TV
so trodden down, and he's just like, oh, okay,
He's lost
Veruca,
he's lost control of
whatever.
her. He's
I
lost
just
control of her. Yeah,
and I love Veruca. I just
Oh,
love how bossy and what a little princess she is.
She's a complete scumbag.
Little
But, I mean,
madam.
she's the sort of product of her upbringing. She's been allowed to do that.
Yeah.
Mike TV's mother is clearly just sort of dumped him in front of the television and let the television raise
I quite
him.
like Mike TV as well,
He's a
though.
twerp.
I quite like him. I don't feel as
With a
strongly
lisp.
about him.
It's a TV dinner.
I would have liked to know, the scene where you see, like, there's a scene where a lady's husband has been kidnapped.
Sure.
And they want the box of Wonka bars she's got. And there's another scene where the guy's in a psychiatrist's office, and the psychiatrist he's very very sinister man, very sort of formidable.
Yeah, definitely.
And he says, I would like to know what happened after the scene where he says, "Shut up, Hofstetter, and tell me where the ticket is." I would have loved to know where Hofstetter was going after this. And
probably to buy some chocolate.
And how brutal the psychiatrist was going to be to get that information out of him.
That should have been Udo Kier.
Oh, wouldn't it have been amazing? And he would have done it in such a subtle way, wouldn't he? Hofstetter, why don't you just tell me where it is?
Subtle and distinguished.
Yes. Our boy thing.
Poverty and greed. So Charlie's quite a poor kid, and he is very clearly coloured by his means. And he winds up winning the competition.
Yeah, this is a every loser wins sort of. Yes.
And the success feels totally deserved, whereas the other kids absolutely fail, and they're greedy, selfish.
Well, that's because they have everything, isn't it?
Sure.
And they just want more.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They all receive a fitting comeuppance, which I quite enjoy as well. What's your favourite bit?
What, of this film?
Yeah.
I think my favourite bit is probably when when Willy Wonka is on the boat.
Oh, it's my favourite bit too.
The boat where he's going.
The psychedelic boat ride.
I was going to mention from the very beginning we see Wonka is a devilish trickster and a deceiver with his walking cane stunt.
You know that something is up when he strolls out with the cane.
Yeah.
And he drops the cane.
Yeah.
And he does like a forward roll.
Yeah.
Thingy. And he reveals himself to be able-bodied. It's beautiful foreshadowing because you're about to enter this deceiving person's realm.
Yeah.
Nothing is quite what it seems.
No.
You get that, and that's such good writing.
It is.
And
it is
so
definitely
beautifully performed.
And I'm so glad that Gene Wilder made sure that role was in it and that he did that.
Right. Did it? What?
Well, because Gene Wilder said unless he could do that forward roll,
he wasn't going to do it.
He wasn't going to be Willy Wonka.
Is that right?
Yeah.
I knew that Spike Milligan was the first choice to be Willy Wonka.
Well, no. Gene Wilder said, unless I can do this, because he wanted that whole idea of I'm a deceiver, and if I cannot show you at the beginning that you're going to go into a fun house full of deception,
right?
Then I don't want to.
It's perfect foreshadowing.
Yeah,
as well. Like even just on a technical level, you should put it in your script.
But that boat ride, I love how dark and insane Wonka gets.
Yes.
And at time and his sarcastic demeanour. And obviously the riverboat scene has a depiction of a chicken having its head chopped off. And that's in a children's film, okay?
Yeah, there's a good amount of salt with this sugar, isn't there?
There is.
What do you think of Gene Wilder in general?
I think he's absolutely... I love Gene Wilder.
I think it's a defining performance, this one as well. But
I love Gene Wilder in this, but I love Gene Wilder in... I always liked Gene Wilder.
I don't think I've seen him in anything I've disliked.
I don't think so.
No. Young Frankenstein.
I mean, one of my favourite things is, and I'm going to have to curb myself here, is see no evil, hear no evil, where Richard Pryor says, "What's the matter? Are you effing deaf?" And he goes up to Richard Pryor's ear and he goes, "Yes, I'm effing deaf," and I just love that.
Yeah,
I absolutely love that. He's so good.
Sort of juggles that warmth with eccentricity, with a knowing and beautiful dollop of sinisternness.
Yeah, and I think Gene Wilder's hair gives him that character that he's a little bit off the wall. And
just to go back to a previous episode, if you're wanting to listen to Old Boy, like Odysseus, Barnett and that just
goes crazy, doesn't it? And then it goes quite sensible towards
it. Reflects his state.
Yes, yeah. There's a nice cameo by Tim Brooke Taylor.
Certainly is.
And he's an oldie but a goodie.
I love you.
I love a good pun.
Just while we're talking about Gene Wilder, I was up very early this morning, so I do apologise if I'm mumbling. What do you think of Johnny Depp's
hate it
interpretation of the same role?
I'll tell you something. Johnny Depp's role as Willy Wonka to me is, and I hate saying this word, pedophile.
Right.
That's what I'm getting from it. I'm getting child killer or pedophile from his performance, because the way he is just.
Totally not laughing at it. I was just surprised by the fact that you.
That's what I said.
Came out with that. Yeah, sure.
Creep, total creep.
Right.
His Willy Wonka.
It's just totally. Yeah, sorry, carry on.
Yeah, just total creep. I mean, I know maybe he was going for the reclusive thing, which I do. I don't get reclusive from Gene Wilder's Willy Wonka. You know, when he's talking to the children and all that. Okay. I don't get that he's sort of a reclusive person. I get that he's quite an outgoing person, the way he speaks to people. Yeah, and very eccentric.
I think the eccentricness kind of shadows that. And I think the fact that he was the subject of corporate espionage that he's kind of just had enough of people.
Yeah. And I also didn't like with Tim Burton's Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, I didn't really want to go too deeply into Willy Wonka's life.
No.
I don't want to know his backstory about his father.
I
I believe Timothée Chalamet is playing Willy Wonka in a prequel. I don't need it.
I'm not sure I need that.
Movie world, I don't need to know anything about Willy Wonka apart from what I've seen.
It makes money, so they're going to do it.
From what I've seen in the Gene Wilder one, I don't need to know his backstory.
Really
we don't need to know everything about everyone.
But it's interesting that Roald Dahl somewhat disowned the movie based on the fact that they gave Wonka a more prominent.
I'm glad they did.
Prominence.
I'm glad they did because I don't think it would have appealed to adults. We wouldn't be sitting here talking about this film now, because we would have grown out of this film if Charlie Bucket had been the main star and Gene Wilder had taken a back seat.
The key focus. Yeah.
We wouldn't be talking about that now. We'd just be saying, "Oh, it was a lovely film when we were kids," but
by giving Wonka a bit more of a prominent role, you flesh him out a bit more, and he becomes what he became. So,
and I think, what I love about Gene Wilder is Gene Wilder has such a when he wants to, has such a gentle, kind look.
Oh, he does.
So you get the mixture of him being quite villainous at some points,
sinister,
but yet at the end when he's in the the glass elevator, there's that feeling of almost like fatherly vibes he's giving to Charlie. Kind of like, I want to adopt you and I want you to be my heir.
There's a warmth.
The warmth, and Gene Wilder has that warmth.
He's got the warmth, he's got the
Johnny Depp doesn't...
sour
I'm not being unkind to Johnny Depp because I love Johnny Depp, but I don't think Johnny Depp has that much warmth.
We've talked about how great Johnny Depp is before in, say, Pirates of the Caribbean.
But do you think Johnny Depp has a lot of warmth? I don't think so. Not the same way.
No. I mean, with great respect, Gene Wilder was a completely different animal and a very rare animal. They just don't make them like that anymore, do they? What do you think of the score?
Wonderful. I absolutely adore the bit at the beginning with the Candyman can in the sweet shop. I love that, and I love Gene Wilder's song in the by the river.
Yes. Pure Imagination.
Is it called Pure Imagination?
Sure.
Yeah. That one.
It's got some bangers. It's got I've got a golden tear.
Yeah.
It's got
I'm not that fond. I'm not actually that fond of that one. But,
okay, but you know them though. They're kind of household, aren't they?
Oh, of course you do.
When you hear them, they're kind of etched in your mind.
Yeah.
It's Sammy Davis Jr. obviously recorded a cover of the Candyman.
Right.
And I believe that was his only number one.
Well,
it's crazy.
Pure Imagination always reminds me a little bit like Somewhere Over the Rainbow. It's got that same.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I love it when we see Roy Kinnear and he says, is this some kind of fun house? And Wilder looks in deadpan serious and asks him, why? Having fun? I love that. And I love the bit where he says the suspense is terrible about Augustus Gloop. I hope it lasts.
Fun fact about that.
I hope it'll last.
That the water was filthy and cold.
Oh,
and the poor little boy had to be in there. Oh. So anyway, verdict and recommendations. What do you doing?
This movie is big.
It's so big.
We're big.
I adore this film, and I've mentioned it a million times. It's been one of my favourites. It's been one of my favourites since I was a child.
It's a classic. How old is it? 71, isn't it?
I genuinely hope that future generations get to enjoy it.
Yeah.
In the same way that
And I hope that Tim Burton one just gets forgotten.
But also they take away some of the messages that we've of greed. Anyway, there's some good life lessons and perspectives.
There's a reason why. What did you mention about the American Institute?
Yeah, the American.
Yeah, there's a reason why they've chosen that film.
Government Criterion Collection, basically. So recommendations. You've already more or less.
I mean, after seeing this again, because I haven't seen this film in years. After seeing this again, I'm definitely going to probably pick up the 4K of it.
There is a 4K.
And I'm going to check it out and see. I should hope they've done a bang up job for it. But this film is wonderful. I mean, there's nothing in it that nobody can't watch. You can watch it with the whole family.
There's some good life lessons in there. There's some good meanings in there. It's just,
I just had a wonderful time watching it.
Be excellent to each other, I think, is the term.
Yes.
Wizard of Oz would be a good companion to this, I think.
Yes, definitely.
I would personally avoid. And I would personally avoid Tim Burton's remake.
Oh God!
It's
like the plague, or like COVID.
It's just, it's just not as good.
It just doesn't have the heart. It just doesn't. No.
The Chronicles of Narnia, The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe is a 2005 fantasy directed by Andrew Adamson, based on the hugely popular 1950 novel The Lion, the Witch, the Wardrobe by C.S. Lewis. This was the first instalment of the Chronicles of Narnia movie series, produced by Walt Disney Pictures and Walden Media. I made some notes on the movie,
Yes.
but my autocorrect changed Narnia to the name Nadia, in every instance. So if I refer
The Chronicles of Narnia.
The Chronicles of Narnia.
Oh dear, that sounds a bit like a video porn movie, doesn't it? The Chronicles of Narnia.
Did you watch a different version? A quick synopsis. 4 British children, Peter, Susan, Edmund and Lucy, you know the story already, but we'll go through the synopsis. Everybody has read this book. Are evacuated during the Blitz to a countryside manor. During a game of hide and seek, Lucy hides in a wardrobe, which happens to lead to the magical world of Narnia. Lucy encounters a handsome young faun named Mr. Tumnus, who invites her back to his home, where he explains that the naughty girl White Witch has cursed Narnia into... I'm just struggling to just mentally keep it to Narnia and not Narnia. Into an endless winter, and that any humans must be brought to her. Lucy is out for a jolly long while and returns back home to discover that barely any time has passed since she has entered. Lucy enters, or returns, back into Narnia, and Edmund follows, where he is caught by the White Witch. Edmund explains his situation, and the White Witch tempts him with a load of lovely Turkish delight if he brings his siblings to her. When evading the housekeeper, the kids wind up in Narnia collectively, where a couple of erudite beavers spell out brave line fella Aslan's plot to reclaim Narnia from the White Witch's
I don't like the way Ray Winstone calls him Aslan.
Aslan?
It's Aslan, not Aslan.
You leave Ray Winstone alone.
Aslan's returning.
Critical and commercial success, taking $745 million dues from a budget of $180 million dues. The film would be nominated for 3 Oscars for sound mixing and visual effects, ultimately winning the Best Makeup Award, which is pretty fair game, I think.
Definitely the makeup.
Thomas looks amazing. 2 sequels. He looks so handsome. Prince Caspian would be released in 2008, and The Voyage of the Dawn Treader would be released in 2010. I'm tired. When did you first see The Chronicles of Narnia?
Saw it at the cinema.
Okay.
I went with my auntie. She decided to... She had a very big, white faux fur coat.
Oh, well,
that
like
she just...
Fox fur?
Yeah, like fox fur, like that. That's what that guy would have called it, fox fur. And she wore this a big white faux fur coat,
right?
Because she wanted to look like the White Witch.
That's hilarious. She's great.
Yes, I saw it at the cinema. I thought it was pretty good when I first saw it. I haven't watched this film in years, and having rewatched it, it's a real stinker.
In what way?
In the way that the special effects look dated, really bad.
Yeah,
I mean, Tumnus's legs, don't look at his legs. They look blurry as hell.
But I love his legs.
They look... I mean, Tumnus, no, don't get me wrong, right, because I believe Weta did the special effects for this.
Can you say it in a New Zealand accent?
Weta.
Weta.
I didn't even know what a weta was until... because it's some kind of insect, isn't it?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay.
The makeup and practical effects are brilliant. They are very, very good.
Just won the award for it as well.
Yeah. As I said, the special effects, which unfortunately this film does rely on special effects, have dated really badly, especially Aslan.
I thought Aslan looks quite good.
You saw Aslan?
But I thought
Aslan.
Aslan.
I thought the beavers looked horrible.
The beaver couple doesn't look good.
No.
There's some janky wolves in there as well.
Yeah, the wolves look janky. Although I like the voice of Morgrim.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know who did, but he had such a really...
It doesn't matter. There's some awful green screen moments in there too. Where actors look like they've been sort of cut and pasted onto their environments.
I did watch that. I thought to myself when I was watching it, am I feeling really tired? And like my vision is starting to blur or something, because I was just thinking, this film does not look very good.
It's not great.
I think the acting from the children is crap.
Yeah, that's my main criticism
Terrible.
of the movie.
Especially Lucy, when she's talking to Tumnus, literally sounds like she's talking from a script.
Yeah, that's my main criticism of the movie.
It's not organic at all.
No, I think fundamentally the performances, with the exception of perhaps Liam Neeson's Aslan.
Well, you can't.
Well, I
Can't
think...
critique Liam Neeson, can you really?
Well, I can't, because he's the only one that turns up in this movie.
Exactly. Well, no, I think Tilda's all right.
I love Tilda. I love James McAvoy, who we collectively call Mr. Tumnus.
We call him because of this. Yeah, because of this role. This was his breakout role.
I think they're both not very good in the movie. I think they're both a bit weak in the movie. I think Tilda maintains the same expression throughout.
Well, she does, doesn't she? That cold look.
Those tie-back dreadlocks make her look like somebody that works part-time at a Whole Foods store as well.
Oh, no. I thought the bit when she comes out at the end with the polar bears, I thought she looked very, almost Nordic.
She looks
like some kind of Nordic queen or goddess.
She looks like the type that would smell of coconut oil and BO.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Okay.
I mean, McAvoy is fine. Is okay.
Yes.
Maybe I'm being a bit harsh. As you say, the makeup effects.
He's not as good
excellent.
as. I mean, obviously he's done better acting since this.
The design of the character, I think, is fantastic.
Yes.
He has indeed done way better than this.
Yes, definitely.
He's a great. Yeah, he's
a good actor.
But he's just so flat and dry in his delivery.
Yeah.
Tilda and Thomas are capable of so much better.
Yes. Yeah.
And it's a bit disappointing. Whereas the four kids, Peter, Susan, Edmund and Lucy, it's impossible to criticise child actors, but their performances are horrible, in my opinion.
Well, there is lots of children actors that are fantastic.
There are kids in Willy Wonka who are fantastic.
Yeah, and they don't sound like they're reading lines.
And
it sounds organic.
I think maybe the lines are just.
And this is the problem. It takes you out of the movie as soon as somebody says the line and asks a question that sounds like they're reading it.
Yeah,
it takes you right out of the movie.
Well, the kids have so much more energy and so much more presence in Willy Wonka, but here they're just so dour.
Especially Peter.
Peter, awful. Peter, he's terrible.
Awful.
Again, absolutely awful. No criticism on him whatsoever. It's just that performance isn't particularly great in my opinion.
Yeah, and he's got such a posh voice as well. Consider the rest of his siblings don't.
Any child down, you know. I just don't believe anything that any of these four kids are actually trying to pull off. And Lucy is particularly annoying.
She is.
Aslan is getting slain on that altar, the big old stone altar that gets wrecked. And there's a reaction, so he's slain.
I mean, it's quite satanic, isn't it? That scene.
It's horrible.
Yeah.
We'll get into some of the darkness in a minute because I do like some of the darkness. But it then cuts to a reaction shot of Lucy reacting to that, and she's just basically standing there with her mouth agape. There's nothing in her eyes. There's no real expression other than And I don't know if it's just like a bad editing choice, or whether it's just bad direction. But just so many moments like that, and so many key moments are ruined because of these poor performances. But the thing is, I get the feeling it's just poor direction because the adult counterparts to those kids, because you see them as adults later, are just as bad.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh they are terrible.
Yeah,
yeah. Oh, I hate that bit at the end.
It might be
you see him after the.
I think it's more just a case of bad direction and janky dialogue.
I think what they saw was because this came out I think it was December 2005.
Sure.
We'd recently had the Lord of the Rings every Christmas.
Yep.
And I think what they thought is we're going to go for a Lord of the Rings.
Well, we've had Lord of the Rings and Harry Potter.
Yes.
So taking a beloved series like this was a no-brainer.
And I think they thought we're going to do a Lord of the Rings on this, and getting wetter as well.
Sure.
And it failed because it doesn't have the same scope as Lord of the Rings.
I think because it was obviously by Disney. I think Disney kind of looked at the fact that Warner Brothers have got Lord of the Rings. I think was it Lord?
No, that was new. Is it? Oh no, they are part of.
I think Warner Brothers both have.
Yeah, and Harry Potter. Yeah.
And so Disney was thinking like, well, we need one, and kind of just looked at that. Sorry, you were saying?
Yeah, no, I think they just went for the Lord of the Rings, and because if you watch the film, the way the cinematography has got a very Lord of the Rings sort of feel about it.
Yeah,
it's just dull. You've got these child actors that are quite dull, and you're following them through. You're following dull people through an adventure that you don't particularly like the kids that much.
No, but at the same time, I
mean, it's not like Charlie Bucket where you actually want him to win,
and he's really charismatic.
And you feel awful when Willy Wonka tells him off in that half room, and he tells him to go away, and you really think, oh, that's horrible. Look at poor Charlie,
He's just a poor boy.
You don't feel that about Edmund. Edmund sells out his siblings for Turkish Delight. And may I just say, I only got into Turkish Delight because of the Chronicles of Narnia. The old 70s animated one.
Yeah.
I only got into Turkish Delight because I saw Edmund eating Turkish Delight, and I was like, I'd never had it before then, and I was like, oh wow, that looks really nice. I want to eat that.
Right. There's themes of good and evil and betrayal and maturity and courage.
Yes.
Such as Edmund selling out his siblings for some confectionery. It's a bit dark.
Some of it is.
It's really dark.
Especially a shout out to Deep Roy, baby, fresh off Tim Burton's Charlie and the Chocolate Factory as Bandersnatch, the evil henchman of the Queen.
Deep Roy?
I think that is Deep Roy.
Is it?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think it
Great.
is. And he goes to cut Edmund's throat, doesn't he?
He does.
Which is quite dark.
Well, I wouldn't have minded. Again, that feeds into darkness. So, the film literally opens up with a Luftwaffe air raid.
It does.
Daddy, what's that? Oh, that's the Luftwaffe. Aslan is bound and sacrificed on a stone altar, as we just mentioned. Peter stabs a giant wolf after a tussle.
Does. Yeah.
Multiple characters are stabbed and stung with arrows during the big climactic battle between the two armies. But the bloodshed mostly happens off screen or below the frame, so I suppose that's how they get away with it. You said that you didn't like the visuals. I quite like some of the sets.
Yeah, I think it's more the visual effects that worry me the most. It's just that once you get to like when you've got the satyrs and the what are they called with the horseback?
Centaurs?
Centaurs, yeah.
Yeah.
They look fine up the top, and then you look down, and they've got sort of slightly blurry horsey legs, or slightly blurry goat legs.
Yeah. It's also the Lord of the Rings thing comes in again they're basically Lord of the Rings orcs.
Exactly. It's the same sort of thing. Lord of the Rings has all that sort of stuff in. I also the one thing I can say good about this is I did think the original soundtrack was good. The orchestral soundtrack.
I'm glad you said that, because I think Harry Gregson Williams' score is absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, I think that is very good. Yeah.
It's grand where it needs to be. It's dark and it's light where it needs to be.
Yeah, I thought that was really good.
There are some original songs thrown in there. What do you think of those?
There is. There's one when they're on the train up to like the countryside in the beginning, which I didn't like.
No, I didn't like that.
I think there's one at the end as well when the credits roll that I didn't.
There's Alanis Morissette in there.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh,
Alan Morris.
Alan Morris.
Okay, so
that's her husband's name.
Alanis Morissette. So, what are your general sort of verdicts?
This movie is aged bad.
It's not aged well.
It's not.
The story is kind of timeless. I think.
Do you know?
The themes are pretty relevant.
I think the problem with the story is it's been done a lot, so everybody knows. You get to learn it in English schools. You learn it.
It was part of my
C.S. Lewis's, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely.
And you know these stories so in and out.
Yeah.
That it's a bit kind of like, do we have to go through this one again?
Yeah, there was a 90s show. Do you remember that? It was like a 90s mini
There was on BBC One, wasn't there? Children's one.
Well, that's the thing. I remember having to read that in school as that was sort of about to come on. And it's part of your life to an extent if you're
But
British.
Why is it always that story? C.S. Lewis did the other Chronicles, but we don't really know that much about the
Prince Caspian.
No.
Ben Barnes.
And when they there's a guy that used to work at Odeon that looked like Ben Barnes.
Ben Barnes.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Very handsome man. My mum, he's one of my mum's menses, My mum adores Ben Barnes.
I saw him at a convention once.
Did you?
Yeah.
Well, my mum would have been very
He's aging very well.
He
Much
is.
like Dorian Gray.
He is.
So, would you recommend any other movies to companion this? I think the sequels are okay from what I can remember.
I think Prince Caspian was really boring.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, I think so.
I don't need to rewatch
You don't need to rewatch them.
Fine.
You can put this with any children's literary classic that's been made.
There was like a rash of other young adult novels being turned into movies.
You could put this with The Railway Children.
Sure.
Couldn't you?
I mean, like things like Stardust and Spiderwick Chronicles. And
the Spiderwick. Oh, yeah.
Indeed, Lord of the Rings and Harry Potter.
Because that was very forgettable, the Spiderwick Chronicles.
Maybe.
I saw that at the cinema. I think we got free tickets to that.
You're going to pay to see that, aren't you?
No, it was terrible. There wasn't even a spider in it. Join us next week, everybody, as we will be discussing 2 of Jordan Peele. Yeah, that's right. The comedian from Key and Peele. He does horror movies and thrillers and stuff.
He does.
We'll be doing 2 of his. One will be Nope. Thanks for that.
Sorry about that.
Now I have to sit with that smell. I have to sit with that smell for the next few minutes. One of them is Nope. Oh, you're saying Nope? Yes. and the other one will be Get Out. And I'm not being offensive to you.
You want to get out and listen to the episode?
Yeah, get out and listen to the episode. We're not telling you to get out. We're saying get in to get out.
You can find me on Letterboxd, I Am Rat Bastard. How can our lovely viewer...
You can find you can find me staring into people's windows sometimes of their houses just to have a little.
I think you actually do that.
Yeah, well, just round the backs of houses.
You've
You know,
got
just
some terrifying neighbours.
I have. You might find all sorts of illicit items in there.
Is it Scouse Vampire you call
Scouse Vampire, I called one of my neighbours. Yeah,
nice. That kind of that sums up.
You can find me. You can also find me at Letterboxd. I am Kerjarelon.
And how is that spelt?
That's spelt KERJA_RELON. And you can also reach us on social media if you're one of those people who likes the face of my book.
Nearly forgot about that.
And the Twitters.
Okay.
You can currently get us on Instagram. We are Cinemattraction_podcast.
Links will be in the description of this video.
Links will be in the description, and check out the posters because I'll be posting every week to be telling you what we'll be doing. So
yeah,
yes,
got some cool episodes coming up as well.
We've got some really good episodes.
There's a Hitchcock one that we've got coming up.
We have,
which I need to lend you the disc for, so I'm making note on my phone for. Okay, love you. Bye.
Bye. Thanks for listening.
The suspense is terrible. I hope it'll last.